Hi, welcome to my little Hedgie tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little hedgehog from one of my brand new kits. It does come with directions, but I didn't include a lot of pictures in my directions, so here's the tutorial. So in your kit, in your little bag, you get some extra wool, and this is blue, sometimes it's red, and you can use this to make a hat, a scarf. I usually put a pinch on the bottom of my makes and make a heart. We have the core wool. We have wool for his paws, ears, snout, and tail. I'm gonna put them like that so you can see them. We have two size 36 needles, and I know they're size 36 off the bat because it's orange, and my rainbow needle system goes in order of the rainbow. There'll be a full tutorial on all the needles soon. Then you have some fur color, and the fur color comes in grays or browns, and I'm gonna work with both of these today just to show you the best way to use them. We'll start with the gray, nice gray color, and then you have a little pinch of black. This is just for the tip of his nose and for his eyeballs. I put glass eyes in this model, but if you have them, feel free to use them. If not, you can use the wool, the black wool that I left. So this we won't need till the end, and that's probably in the middle, and that's probably the second thing. So the first thing you do, and what I like to tell everybody to do, is to play with your wool. Sometimes your wool will come in pieces, and don't fret about it. Sometimes it'll come rolled up like I just unrolled this. So this is really, really nice core wool. It's very clean. There's hardly any VM in it, which is vegetable matter. So you can, there's like little sheepy bits, and that's how you know it comes from real sheep. There's no AI sheep here. So I want to introduce a family of hedgehogs. They're all excited because spring has sprung and they can come out of hibernation. So I got a variety of hedgehogs that aren't sitting up. This is how I typically make hedgehogs. And these are all different fur choices, which I'll go over when we add the fur. So the first thing you want to do when you have core wool to make your body, oh well, we could follow the directions. So I have some tips. Needle safety, know your wool, play with your wool. Then when you open it up, here are all the directions, and they're very basic. The directions are written how I am talking to you now, so I think it's pretty clear. If anybody does have any suggestions or questions about my directions, please let me know. I know there needs to be more pictures, but I just didn't want to use a lot of paper in my basic kits. And here's the link to my YouTube site, so everybody will be able to find this when they're making their hedgehog. So I am going to put this up. Oh, and your kit also comes with a small 4-inch square foam pad, and this is a dense foam pad. It's not going to be like squishy. It's pretty dense. You'll get good use out of this. I generally don't use the pad, but I'll use it today just to show you. But I'm going to put that aside. So the first thing, like I was saying, the first thing is I always take a pinch of wool and set it aside. That's quite a lot. I might want to use some of this for the snout, so maybe I'll just take that much, and I'll just put it aside. So he has a pretty basic shape, so he's just like a basic potato, right? Spiky ground potatoes. So we're just gonna make a potato. So to do that, you can use a skewer, or you can just roll it up really tight. You want to roll your wool into a cylinder type shape. So I am rolling it really tight, and you can see like how fluffy this is and how tight this is. And when you do, anytime you roll like a snake like this, the ends are gonna get fluffy and the ends are gonna go wider. So what you can do, if you wanted to make something smaller, is you could fold in your sides. But for the hedgehog, we don't want to do that, because we want them to be about 3 to 4 inches. And as I'm rolling, I'm noticing that I'm losing the tightness. So the tighter you roll your wool, the less you'll have to poke it. Now we don't want a super firm hedgie. We want a medium. So I'm just doing some pokes, and there's no need to stab it. We're not making voodoo hedgehogs. That'd be scary with all their spikes. We are making cute little hedgies. So you want to keep poking down those hills. If you can see right here how this is poked and this is still fluffy. So you want to, so I'm just doing the top, the head part, right? And we wanted to make a curve. So if you want to make a curve, you would poke in the center a little bit more. And you can refine that as we go on. So this is, you know, looking like a beautiful log. Log. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm referring to when I say log. But it's an old cartoon. Let me know if you know what I'm referring to. I like to be silly. And needle felting keeps me being silly. So there. We have a fluffy bottom and a more firmer head. You can just keep felting that. You can, at this point, he's medium firm up here, and I could keep poking this until it's tennis ball hard, and it would shrink another 25%, I'm sure, at least. But we, you know, we want a cute little hedgehog, so I'm gonna make sure I don't poke him too much. I'm gonna work on the bottom a little bit. You can keep his belly a little fluffy. If you see any VM, you can pull it out or you can leave it in. So kind of making them too thin. So because of that, I'm gonna push this down a little. Don't wanna, and you can pull out what I just pushed in. Because it's not too firm down here, you can shape this. See what I'm doing? Just pull it and shape it. Now he's got a wider belly. Look at that. And I'm gonna poke it in a little bit more, but I want him to have a little bit of a fluffy belly. A non-poked belly. So carded wool is very forgiving. This is where the fibers go in all different directions instead of tops or roving. The words are kind of interchangeable around the world. Mostly the UK and the US use tops and roving. Different companies will mix them up. Not on purpose, it's just what they've always called them. But now that we're needle felting is easier with carded wool when the fibers are going in all different directions. So it's easier for the notches on the needle to catch them. If we were using smooth roving tops where all the fibers are going in one direction, the needle would go right through it and it would grab less fibers. So this just speeds it up. So my silly hedgehog with his belly And I might add some more to his belly. Maybe after we add the paws. I'm gonna add a little now. He's gonna come together, you'll see soon. Just gonna add a little to his belly now. Just smooth out all the pokes that I did. Just gonna poke around the edges. Here's my basic form. You can do him more like this, which is like 2 bumps. And I just sculpted the bumps out of one log. Or you could make 2 balls, but it's not necessary. So we are going to use this beautiful undyed gray wool for his fur. And it's rolled up. And what I want you to do is unroll it. Well, it might be a little tricky, but just, there we go. So when you unroll it, you can really see how much you have. And one of the ways to divide up wool is in the length. You can pull it from the top. Oh. And no, that's not really. It was very strong. You can make 2 longer pieces this way. And these are still pretty, they're kind of opaque. They're not, this is more solid. So if you want to put it on in thin layers, you can pull apart the layers. So I like to pinch it and see if it is going to come apart, and it looks like it will. So now I'm going to pinch it and I'm going to pull apart. And now I have 2 layers, and they're more sheer than if I was to put this on together. And it's actually easier to put on thin layers than a thick layer. When you put on a thick layer, you get more hills and valleys, and it takes longer to felt. So it's easier to start with a thin layer. So this is, I'm gonna use this one. Oh, sorry guys, I know you wanna watch your friend being made. So I'm gonna take this, and it's long enough so I don't have to stretch it. And I'm gonna start poking it on. So Hedgehog's faces, just gonna take the edge. I'm gonna poke it all around. Now, when I went this way, I have all this extra, but I'm just gonna leave that. And I'm gonna try to pull this over. See, I can still see some of the core. That's no big deal because we're gonna add another layer, right? So I'm just gonna poke this down, going around in a circle. So when I come over to here, I have this part and this part. You can either pull this off, or you can just play with it and poke it down. So I'm gonna play with it. Look, I just folded it over. And I folded it over his bum. So this is nice and thick. You can't see any core wool through it. I'm gonna give that a few pokes. So I won't have to add any more down here. Maybe I might add some over here, but I'm gonna wait till after I add the paws before I add some where his paws go. So we'll go up this side again. And then some hedgehogs you can make them have like a little point, like almost like an owl or Batman. So this fur, I'm gonna kind of pull it back. Look at that. You can just, don't let the wool tell you where it goes. You tell the wool where you want it to go. You're in control. And the more you poke, the more it'll stay, and the fairies won't mess with it. So if you poke it pretty firmly, it'll stay like that. If you don't poke pretty firmly, it might move a little bit as it relaxes, especially natural wool that hasn't been dyed and processed more. So look at that. We have a hedgehog body covered in this gray fur. I like to use undyed wool as much as possible. And there's so many different shades of browns, tans, and grays. It's fun. So I think I'm gonna need to make my face smaller, right? I like how his face is smaller. So I'm gonna take some more of this gray wool and I'm gonna lay it where I want it to go. This is one of the things I do. I just plop it down on top of my make. I don't worry about the lines because I know I can fix it. I'm gonna secure it back here and then I'm gonna poke it closer in. And I can't see where the edge is, and that's okay. Just trust the process. I'm not going crazy in the middle of the face, but now that it's down and secure, I can decide if I want to fold it back or if I want to bring it in. And I'm just gonna bring it in. Cute little guy. I wonder what we should name him. He's nice. He's nice and gray. Cloudy, rainy, stormy. I'm not sure. If you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. He's really eager to be made. He can hear all the tree frogs outside. I don't know if you can hear them, but they get pretty loud. It's nighttime here. I'm in the northeastern New England states. So right here it's thin, and I don't have enough wool to cover that, so I'll just add some wool in a minute. But here's his face. I am pushing the wool with my needle. So because this is a 36, it's a little bit stronger, and I'm not worried about bending or breaking my needle. Oops, there's my directions. I think I include this in the directions too. When you are pulling or dragging fibers, you really risk bending the needle. Once you bend a needle, you have no control over where the wool goes if you continue to use it. I always replace bent needles for my students. I very rarely keep a bent needle in my supply over here. Only if it's just bent a tiny bit, and if I'm working on a core project. If I'm, doing detail work, I want to know where I'm pushing that wool. So I bring that up because you're seeing me drag the fibers and kind of push them around. And I know the strength of this needle, so I'm not moving the fibers so the needle bends. I'm not being too gentle either, but the needle isn't bending. That's my point. You don't want to grab fibers where the needle will bend. So now we have a cute little face. We can round out his head later. Another tip when you're making any project is to look at it upside down, and you can see how even it is. I think that's pretty even. You can look at it backwards, upside down, just to get a good measurement if it's even from left to right. So I'm just gonna take, oops, sorry about that, my ruler. I'm gonna adjust the camera and show you how long this is. It is almost 4 inches, and it's about 3 3/4. Isn't he cute? He's gonna be. We got to give him his legs and his snout. So look at all this extra wool you have. So you can make a mini hedgehog with this. and we have extra gray. I'm gonna add more gray, especially like right here, it's a little bit thin, but I'm gonna, and right here, but I'm gonna wait until I put the paws on and his ears, because I like to secure that down with some of the fur. So I'm gonna put this aside and this aside. It's so exciting. And I'm gonna take out the oatmeal colored wool that I had for his paws. I just wanted something that was different but light than his belly. So when you unroll this, this is pretty thick. So I really think it'd be in your best interest if you were to pull it apart this way, the thickness, right? And now it's still thick, but that's good. That means you don't have to felt it much. So we need 6 pieces. So you figure 3 and 3. No, we need 8 pieces. Sorry about that. So 4 and 4. So this might be the 2 paws, top and bottom, 4 paws. So I would, if you know about wool, how strong it is, you can't break it like this. It's very hard because of the staple length, the length of each fiber. But if you gently pull it apart and your fingers are pulled apart, that's about even. And I can even it out. Then I'm gonna pull it apart this way. So now I have 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's for the paws. I'm gonna set these aside because I wanna make his snout and his ears just to give him some personality. So we need 2 ears, a snout, and a tail. So I'm gonna break this in half, and pull and tear it, and I'm just guesstimating. There's no right or wrong here. So I'm just thinking this is a smaller one. We'll do his ears with this, right? 2 ears, and this can be his snout and his tail. Now, I like them to have a nice tail. That looks like it should be a nice tail. You can just roll it and unroll it. So for his snout, if you're not sure if you're going to have enough, you can use some of your core wool for the base of his snout. And I would pull out a piece. This is a very sheer piece. It's like 4 or 5 inches long, but you don't need it to be that long. And you want to roll this into a cone shape. So you can just use your hands to roll it. Because you have 2 needles, you can use a needle if you don't have a chopstick around to wrap and to roll a cone. And you can just wrap this. And sometimes it naturally makes a cone. It's thinner on this side. And you can kind of guide the wool, right? If I had my other needles out, I would poke this a little bit, but because I don't, I'm just gonna carefully pull that off. So now I have a cone shape, right? Like a pointy carrot. I'm just gonna poke this so it doesn't come apart. I'm not gonna poke the outer edges of the bottom of the cone because that I want to use to attach to his face. And I don't know, he has a big nose. So I can, if I just gently needle felt this so it doesn't unravel, I can decide later if I want his snout to be this big. Okay, so I'm going to pull apart the bottom of his snout and we're going to put it here. Now it already looks silly, but we're going to shrink it by poking it. So when you attach something round, it's kind of easy just to go around in a circle. Now, if you I'm just gonna take my 38. You can always use a needle to secure your piece down so you don't have to worry about it falling off until you have it secured in there. Then you would remove the needle so you don't hit it. Look at his nose. This is so silly. This guy's got a little button nose. Well, little button cone. He's almost looking like the star mole, the star-nosed mole. That'd be fun to make. Hedgehogs get to meet lots of interesting animals. They get to play with the dormice and turtles, all kinds of turtles, and lots and lots of woodland animals if they're in the northern territories. So I just attach this. You want to attach it until you can't pull it off. So that's pretty secure, but I'm stretching it. So I'm going to continue to poke down. Because I'm poking down, it's getting shorter. And it's also getting firmer. You can tell by the crunch. Look at that. That's some VM. I'm going to take it off because it's just kind of distracting. So, I don't know. His big snout doesn't bother me. You can carefully get rid of the loose fibers. And I'm poking on an angle so I don't lose the cone shape. But I'm making it shorter. I think I definitely made this half the size. So that's beautiful. I like it. It's a little crooked right now, but trust the process. We can fix the crookedness, especially when we add the oatmeal color to it. Oh, right, isn't he cute? I know, it's kind of like a gray hedgehog snowman, but he won't be. So this is what I had set aside for his snout. So I'm gonna take a piece of this and just play with your will. I made it into like a rectangle piece, and I'm gonna start on one side and poke it. Then I'm gonna grab those fibers and go around in a circle. Go all around the edges. And that little amount is obviously too much, so I'm going to pull some off. And then, all right, one of these days I'm going to say it, but I say and then a lot, and then I just get silly. If you know what movie reference that's from, let me know in the comments, and you'll know I'm definitely an 80s girl. I was where all the awesome things happened. I was born in 1970, so I don't know, I think that movie is a little bit, maybe it was a 90s movie. That's kind of dark right there. So don't be afraid to play with your make. So this one, I don't like how, I don't know if I got gray fibers mixed up, but it's not so firmly attached that I can't undo anything. I could cut off his nose if I couldn't pull it off, if I didn't like it, but I do like it. So you won't poke yourself. You might want to use your sponge, and don't forget, you can use the top of your sponge, but you can also use the sides. So you can lift it up like this and place them here, and then give it a poke just to get in those fibers, and this way you're not, you can also do all this felting before you attach it, but I like to get creative and silly when I make my items. So there he is. Now watch what we're gonna do. Here's the rest of his snout. I'm gonna take some black, just a little bit. You only need a little tiny bit. It's better to add a little and more at the end. And I'm gonna secure this at the bottom of his nose, or the tip of his nose. And then I'm gonna go around in a circle, and I'm just poking any fiber that's there. But I'm not poking all around, I'm just poking at the tip of his nose. I just wanna poke any fibers that I can catch. And then I can swirl it with my needle and catch a whole bunch of fibers and poke it down. Oh my goodness. He is truly becoming a little Hedgie. There are hedgehogs that barely weigh 500 grams, so what's that, like almost 2 pounds, is it? I think 253 grams in a pound. And they're so cute. Those are the ones I saw were the desert hedgehogs, and they have big ears. So I get a lot of flyaways, but I'm gonna add more black. But look at that, now we have a cute little Hedgie. So I am gonna show you how to make the eyes. Then we'll get on with his paws. So you want to try to take 2 even amounts of wool. And you can start with less. And then I'm just going to pull them apart. Oh, that didn't really work to even them out. Might be better if you can gauge it like this, maybe. That looks about the same. So, my printer's alive. You just roll it up in your hand, in your fingers. I have a hard time with this. I don't know. But just roll it up. If you have, you know, a cup of water, you can get it a little bit wet if you want. So now I have one eye blob. And another way you could do this is you could take a skewer or a toothpick or your extra needle and wrap it around till you get to the very end, till there's no more, and pull it off. Give it a couple of pokes, and then you have a similar shaped eyeball. So I'm not going to worry about like these flyaways and that they're completely different shapes, because you can shape it once you attach it to the body. Okay, so we have one that I fiddled in my hands and one that I wrapped around a needle. So, you know, if you wanted a precision-eyed hedgehog, you could take just a couple of fibers, and I just like to plop it on. That didn't really work, but I'll drag it over. So I want his eye to be about there, right? Especially, this is good if you're going to put glass eyes on him. So this eye, I think, should be about there. Kind of like that. So I'm gonna get my eye. Oh my gosh, he's got big eyes. So when you have something small like this, and it's a circle, it's not too small, so I can poke in the center. But if you're afraid you're gonna, if it's really small, you're afraid you're gonna lose it, I like to go top, I like to go around this, like a east, west, north, south, or air, fire, earth, water. But you can go to the top, the bottom, and then west and east, just to get all points in. Oh my goodness, I think he looks sweet with good big eyes. So I'm gonna grab my second piece, which I created completely different. It's more like a triangle, but like I said, you can shape it. See how I just pulled it in and made a circle? Oh, he's so sweet. See, it comes right off. So I'm gonna poke on all the sides, north, south, west, and east. Oh my goodness, I like them with these big eyeballs. Now, you could take a pinch, not even a pinch, just a few fibers, of your core wool to put a little dot in the black of his eye, just to give him some life. Okay, so see what I'm noticing is his face. I'm not worried about his head, the top. But this is more pulled in on that side than this side. And that's no big deal. I mean, hedgehogs don't look in the mirror and fix themselves, right? That's what we do sometimes. So you could just pull some fibers over or add some fibers if it bothered you, or just leave it. Because like I said, they're not looking in the mirror. Look at him. He's going to be so sweet. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're going to give him ears now because that's going to make him sweeter. Oh, this I had for his tail. So these are the 2 ears. So they're about the same. This one seems a little... See, this fiber is pretty thick. Like I could even pull this apart like this, but then it wouldn't be enough, would it? No, this one has too much. Put them all together again. Play with your wool. It's not gonna, you're not gonna ruin it. So I want him to have cute round ears. All you do is you can fold it over. Look at that. We have a little ear. And you can firm this up on your pad. Leave the ends loose so you can attach it. And I'm not going to worry about the edges on this hedgehog because he's busy playing in all the leaves. This came right up. It's pretty felted loosely, but it's not sheer, it's not falling apart. So that's good. It's because you have this strong 36 needle. And I included 36. Another reason why is because I figured this was the first project for a lot of people, and because needles are made from machines, first timers sometimes break their needles. It happens. It's okay. If you bend or break your needle, that's why you have 2. And that's why I gave a 36, because it's stronger. So I'm going to take another piece, and I'm just going to, this is like 2.5, 3, yeah, 2.5 inches. Just going to fold it over. So it's got extra wool right here. And when I put it down and hold the loose tail ends and I poke this, it's going to give it a little bit of thickness. And I'm going to push some of this wool in to make it even thicker. And I'm going to keep poking until I feel it's come together. I'm not going to worry about the sides being fluffy. I'm still going to poke them. I'm going to gently lift. Look at that. Oh, there's a little split there, but we can just keep poking. You can also add just a tiny amount of wool, just to make sure it's not going to keep coming apart. So I'm pushing it in a little. So you always do both ears before you attach them, so you can make sure, yeah, that worked. They're about the same size. So if I put this one over this one, I can see that this one's a little bit bigger. Just a teeny tiny bit. This one's definitely more rounder. So I'm not using any safety guards, but you could, in a pinch, just use 2 pieces of cardboard and hold it together if you wanted to firm up the edges of his ears. But I'm not worried about that. Oh my goodness, he's gotta have nice sweet ears. So I'm gonna plop on his ear, And I'm going to poke it. I'm going to gather these loose fibers. And I don't want them to come into his face. So I'm just going to poke. Then I'm going to poke down. And I'm going to go back here and poke in the back. Now I am going to add some more gray just to cover this up, right? I said that earlier. But I do want to, I'll check it again after I add the gray hair. But I do want to make sure that you have to really tug to get it, to pull at it. You don't want it to fall off easily. Especially if your little Hedgie is going to be handled. All right, let's trust the process. Here we go. Add the second ear. I'm going to go in the back first. I'll tell you why in a second. I think I have way too much fur down here, so I'm going to pull off just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to poke it in. I have to stop saying that. I'm going to be non-stop laughter over here. All right, so now he's looking a little mouse-like instead of a hedgehog. Oh, there he goes. Now he's looking like a hedgehog. See how I'm using my hands? I'm using my hands to shape him. I'm still not happy with these ears. I think I'm gonna make them a little bit smaller. And to do that, see, it's already smaller. I'm poking in the sides. And I'm poking in to his head. That's cuter. Some of their ears are pointy too. So this could be the pointy one that's in the desert. So by poking on the side, you're pulling the fibers inwards. Use your hands. Look, I got it cone shape now, pointier. Maybe his eyes are too big, so you can just play with them. You can always pull out the eyes, but maybe they're just a smidge too big. Trust the process. We're not done. So I am poking directly at the edge of the black and I'm pushing that in. I'm gathering the loose fibers. Like, I just moved the nose out of the way. I can fix it later if it doesn't go back the way I like. I'm gonna just add a tiny bit of gray over where his ears connect to his face. So see, I just plopped it down and this natural gray here is pretty coarse. It's carded, but it doesn't have a lot of spring to it. I'm gonna grab a tiny bit more. Look how, like, what is that, like 20 fibers? And I'm just poking. I know the fibers are there, so I'm just poking where I want them to go. And you can swirl your needle to gather some of those fibers. There's all different ways to make your sculpted item. And this method is just fine. I like to plop down my fibers and poke them in because I trust the process. I want to be careful with that. Yeah, so light pokes. You don't want to make a voodoo hedgehog. No stabbing. When you stab really firmly, unless you're attaching parts, like a head to a body, you really risk poking yourself, bending or breaking your needle. Each needle can do a lot of different things. Oh, look, this one looks smaller. So maybe I'll go from the back. So the back of the ears look good. Last time on this guy, I put extra fur on the back of his ears and in the front. Wow, he looks so different than that guy. And that's okay. That's the beauty of needle felting, is they all come out different. Okay, I am going to add a teeny tiny bit of core wool, even less than that. I'm going to make that white dot, but it's going to be a core dot. So this way we know where he's looking. Ooh, he's got like raccoon vibes now. That might be too much. Over from the ears and the snout. And see all that wool? Like, we could have not used core wool for the inner of the snout. So for the paws, all I did was I took one of the 4 pieces. You can just feel them by touch. This one feels a little thin. These 2 are thinner. Maybe they'll be the top and these can be the bottom, because these feel thicker and this is super thick. So there really is a lot of wool in this little piece. So we'll do the bottom feet first. And all I did was fold over the wool and fold it over again. And then fold it over again. So you have a rectangle. You could go this way, it really doesn't matter. So now that I have this little box, I'm gonna close in the edge, and the top I'm gonna try to round out a little. And the bottom I'm gonna leave a little loose. I'm gonna turn them over. And these paws, you can make them fluffy or thin. But I encourage you to do 2 of the same size before you attach them. So here is another example. Just gonna fold it. So that's about like the same size that I had. And if you really wanted to, you could add some black lines for on their paws for like claws. And you could add, I think I want to add a mouth to mine. I'm just going to take a thin strip of black. So now I'm using my fingers to smooth this out. If you had a flat iron, you could smooth them out even nicer, but he's a hedgehog and he needs his paws to be a little thick so he can get through all that debris, all the leaves and sticks. He's gonna have working paws. And we're doing him a little bit curled in so I can, now I can like squish him in. See how fluffy I left his belly? I'm gonna fix that a little bit by just pulling the fibers a little tighter to the edge. So now I'm going to take the ends where I'm going to attach it and pull them apart separately. I'm going to split it like you're doing a split. And I'm going to put it right here, right on the edge where I think his paw should go. And I'm going to poke it in. Now see, there's a couple of bumps on his foot. Put it on the pad. And I think this is even too long, so you can decide now or later if you want to make it shorter. At this point you could have pulled it out, but I'm just gonna keep tucking those fibers inside. And see how I made some fibers appear on the top there? I can cover that up with either the coral wool or the gray wool. Now I know you can't, that's pretty firmly felted in there. But I want his paws to kind of point inwards. Like he's all curled up. He's stretching from his nap. They can sleep up to 7 months. They won't come out until the weather is right. All right, so here's the second one. Let me pull off some of that fiber. Okay. So this guy right on the edge. And then the front right on the edge. I like the positioning. So now I'm gonna secure it so it's curling into his body above his belly, like the first one, instead of sticking out like these guys. So I think that's nice. So what I'm gonna do to make it look pretty is gonna take a thin piece of gray and I'm gonna plop it down. I want it to try to cover both innards of the paws, bottom paws, and I'm gonna just try to poke like a fairly thin line. And then, yeah, we're gonna stretch it over there. So it's adding to his belly, but it's gonna cover up all those pokes that you did for his bottom paw. And we can always add more wool over here, but this I wanted to get done first. All right. So now I can add a little bit thicker amount. I like that one. And I want it to be thick right where the paws are. So it's not only gonna cover it up any of the oatmeal colored wool, but it's gonna add more bulk to his body, his bum, and it's really gonna smooth out the look and secure them to go inward, right? I'm poking through the foot, through the gray, and through the oatmeal into the core. Oh my goodness. think I want them to be more squished. Oh my goodness, look at that. See how I wasn't, I mean, I was trusting the process, but I was iffy. Even I'm iffy. But now, look at that. Oh my goodness. He needs his tail, his hands, and definitely a smile. I'm going to put that smile on him right now because he is happy. So I'm twizzling some black fibers. This is way too much. Believe me, you can practice all you want, but it's hard not to take too much. So I'm going to give him a little smile. And these fibers, if this was firmly felted, I might have to cut them off. But I can poke these in right where I want it to go. And I'm just gonna drag and round out these fibers underneath his snout until I get to about the same spot. Look at that. Yay, first time. Now he looks really silly. 2 more paws. So we're going to take this fluff and fold it, and it could be 4 or 5 times until you get a nice rectangle for this project. And I'm going to round out the top so it represents a paw instead of a box. And I'm going to put that aside and do my last paw. Fold, fold. You want to keep it small. This looks like a lot of fiber. Might pull some of this off. Okay. Gather the 2 paws. See that they are similar in size. And then attach. So to attach, we split the bottom. It's one option. And wherever you want his boy to go. And do the front. Then the inside. And we're doing it right at the edge. So this way, if, when I attach, if you want to attach more of the gray fur fiber, it's going to look more natural. So now to make it, he has a big paw. I kind of like that though. I eyeball a lot of things and I don't always eyeball them correctly. In my workshops, sometimes I don't use models because I want everybody to use their own creativity and their own imagination. There's definitely guidelines, but sometimes when there's models, people want to create that exact model, which is fine. But I want to teach everybody to just trust the process. All right, so this paw looks, I'm just smoothing this with my hand and I pulled it out a little bit. So I know this one I can tug at it and it's fine, but I know I'm gonna secure it with more gray fur. So let's see. We still have that sheet left. So I'm gonna take a thin amount. I even want like a shorter amount. And I'm gonna go along the back and poke this in so you don't see the marks. Not that they're that noticeable, but this is, like I said, it's going to secure the woolen better. It's going to secure that paw. Oh my goodness. So now we're going to do the same thing that we did with the feet. I'm going to poke it so it's facing the belly. So I'm rounding out the bum. This side look a little square. I know it's squishing them. Okay. Let's get some of the gray. We're going to do the same thing that we did there. gonna do the underneath, which I think I did the top on the other one first, but it worked out. So I'm gonna secure the front paw in with the gray. So I know I'm catching some of the front paw fibers when I'm poking in that piece of gray. And you could go around, but I want to add more fur instead of tidying up those fibers behind his paw. I want my hedgehog to be fluffy. You can make a spiky hedgehog. I'll show you how to do that. But this guy is cute and fluffy. Now your kit may have come with gray wool, it may have come with brown wool or tan wool, but all the fiber for the fur of the hedgehog, they're all undyed fibers. So the core is undyed and the fur is undyed. The black has to be dyed if you want a nice dark black. Sheep can have a dark brown, but there's no real true black with sheep or hedgehogs. Oh my god, he's so silly. So what do we have left? The bum. And take some of this fur. I'm going to take one that's already bundled up, that spiral. I'm going to roll it. So just to show you what I'm doing in a bigger piece, just taking a rectangle and I'm just folding it any way to get a squared off rectangle, and then I'm going to take the two ends, right, the left and the right side that are loose and not folded, and I'm going to pinch them together, and then I'm going to poke top, bottom, left, right. But I'm going to do it with this thicker piece that's kind of half poked and a little bit messy because it says tail and it should be okay. So I'm going to fold it, and I'm going to fold it when I put on his bum, the last fold. So here's where his tail's going to go. I'm going to secure it over here, and I'll secure it on the top. And then instead of folding it, because this one was thick, I'm just going to push those fibers in on the left and the right side. And before I go crazy attaching this tail, I want to make sure it's in a good spot, it's pretty centered, and then you can keep poking. One of the things I've done is kind of like when you're making a pom-pom. You have all those loose fibers that you folded over. So we could cut this with scissors and it would be nice and fluffy, but hedgehogs don't have a fluffy tail like a bunny. And their tail isn't quite like this either. But this isn't a representation of a actual hedgehog. This is just your cute little Hedgie. Look at him. He's very sweet. One of the things I've done with a lot of my hedgehogs is I've taken some of the snout color, or like a light brown, and I've added it on the face. Now some of his snout color disappeared right here. So I'm gonna fix that. And fixing the snout color, I can also fix any black hairs that shouldn't be there. It's kind of nice to have a contrast in color, but this is subtle, you know, it's not too strong. Then I said I wanted to add a little bit more black. There was a spot I can see the core. So I'm just gonna wrap this around. You could have made a dot like we did with the eyes and then attached it, but I like to plop my wool on and then their snout kind of goes up. And see, just by pushing it, we made it curve. So he's like a little baby. Now this side, I'm gonna try to move some fibers over. Look at that. There is your little hedgehog. That's one version. You can also make him to look like this. And then you have plenty of wool left over. You can make a mini one. And don't forget, we have, this is a few grams of blue. Some of them have red. But you just need a little pinch to add a heart at the bottom. And again, this is how I add my hearts. I plop a piece of wool, enough that I think I can make a heart with. I just plop it, and then I just poke it. And I poke a V, and then I gather the fibers, keep poking the V, and I push down in the center of the V, and then I try to gather fibers on either side. See how I can't see what I'm doing? You have to trust the process. You made a V, keep poking that V, and push the center down. And there's your heart. You can take some of your wool. Oh, you could blend it with some of that black. That might be nice. You could just hand blend a little pinch of black and some gray. So gather your fibers like this. I give it a little twizzle, and wherever the center is, that's where I poke. Just try to keep those ends separate, and then just poke. Now you can twizzle these ends for spikes, and you can trim it with your scissors. This kind of has too much black. So see, I just gently blended these, barely blended it, but it's a different color now because it's black and the gray. And that's a lot, so I'm gonna split this in two. I am gonna twizzle it so it just doesn't fall apart. Look at that. Now I'm gonna go right here, and I'm gonna poke it right in the center. I'm gonna try to make sure these fibers stay separated. Get it in there, get it secure. Now you have two more spikes that you can twizzle. Look at him. Now I would trim this, and you might be able to reuse it. So let's use even less fiber and pull it out. Twizzle it, plop it down, and in the center of that twizzle, you can hold either side if you need to, but just poke to secure all that. Poke right there. And then you have, oops, two more pieces of fibers to twizzle. And then you can keep doing this. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. But this is just one way to add some character to your little Hedgie. If you have any wax or lanolin, I have these little tubs of lanolin mixed with some wax, and you can just rub your finger on it. So I know, like, you probably can't see, but I'm getting some on my finger, and you'll see now. So I have my fingers are tacky. I'm just gonna take those fibers, I'm gonna twist it, take the next section, twist it, take all these spikes, and I'm gonna rub the lanolin wax onto them when I feel like I've run out. So the lanolin is just gonna help it stay twizzled. I mean, I'm just doing this quickly, but, and if you cover like each row, and you can go in different angles, you don't have to do row by row. He's gonna have all these fun spikes. Now another way to add spikes, and you can still use the lanolin, is you can use reverse needles. Now I keep all my reverse needles in this tin. They all have black felt balls, and I know this is a size 36 because it has an orange dot, just like in the rainbow. It's the next one in order. So the red's a 32, orange is 36. So it's a 36 even though it's a reverse. Now these are fun to try. So what you do with these is it does the exact thing that it says. It does the reverse. So if you poke it in, it's gonna pull out the fiber. And this is a 36, so it's pretty strong. So see what it's pulling out? You're gathering fibers on your needle too, but it's pulling out the core wool. And then you can twizzle that for spikes. So you have to give it a few pokes to get enough to twizzle, right? But another fun thing you could do with the reverse needle is you can make it fluffy, especially on the edges where the core wool meets the gray. You can just give it a few pokes and make it all fluffy. I like to do this with owls or anything where the two colors mix, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Now, your kit did not come with the reverse needle. I do sell them in the packs of 4. They come in size 32, 36, 38, and 40. Right? Yep, 40 is the green. Same color code system. So you know instantly what you're grabbing. The 36 works great for this, though, for what I want. So all that fluff I did on the edges, this is like organized fluff. It's not like leaving fluff when you're first felting. Just gonna trim it so it's pretty short. Not those are the spikes. But I just wanted to give a little fluff around his face. Pull these hairs out. And I can see the marks where I pulled them out. So you could just add more fluff if you wanted to. Just to even it out. And I like to keep them in the tin, so the reverse needles, so they don't catch on anything that I'm making. So these are the spikes. Aw, he's like a little fluffy now. I kind of like this look, like with the reverse needle. So here's one option, is adding spikes. This is a lot of poking with the reverse needle to get some spikes. And you can just leave them flat, like this guy too. You don't have to add spikes if you don't want to. This fiber is mohair teddy bear fiber, and it's kind of hard to find now. I think I have like a yard of it. But you have to sew it on. This is glued on. I love how the fur looks, but I don't like the hardness of the glue or the sewing. This little guy or girl was done with pink curly locks. These tiny, tiny, tiny locks. This guy made his snout go up. He's just a little bit furry. This guy is super furry. I just bundled the fur and I attached it along the edge. It's only got a few pokes in the center, so it keeps it nice and furry. Then this is my classic guy. He's my model. He holds my mini apples and stuff. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to show some pictures of this guy finished with all the spikes. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.